Hey everyone, Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, three-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devils podcast. Let's go Devils!
Whoop-de-doo, let's go Devils. We're the Uncle Puckers. Tim, Chris, and Tony with you today. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today, but first, Tony, tell us about your GNR show. When are you going to see GNR?
So my sister is coming down from Florida to visit me, her and my nephew, and we got Guns N' Roses tickets, their first time ever in the Baltics, which is the country. I'm over in Lithuania. And the amazing thing is the service charge was the tickets were $100. So in America, they're much more expensive, the tickets. And the service charge was $5 here. I went to go see the Devils and the Lightning play in Tampa. I paid $50 each ticket for service charges.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I know they're coming here. They play like a 3-hour show. But it's kind of cool because you got Slash, you got Duff, you got not all, there's no more Adler, and the drummer Frank just left. But it's pretty it's a pretty decent lineup, because remember when they first made the changeover for Chinese Democracy, it was Buckethead, Bumblefoot, and all those guys. They switched out everybody because Axl. I don't know if you guys ever saw the highlight when someone had a Slash.
6 years to make that fucking album.
Yeah, there's it's on YouTube. There's footage of someone went to a Guns N' Roses concert during the Chinese Democracy period, and they started screaming at Axl, "Where's Slash?" Right? And Axl stops because Axl would stop in the middle of any song, punch someone in the face, beat up a camera guy. This was the normal Guns N' Roses things back in the day. Yeah. So he stops, and this is on YouTube. You can look it up. And he says, "I'll tell you where Slash is. He's in my asshole." Like most guys would keep on singing and not, Axl. And you could, like I said, you could look it up. He totally goes off about has the guy kicked out of the concert. But things are different these days. Supposedly he shows up on time. That was a big deal back in the day. If you remember, they were always 2 hours late.
I remember. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I remember Faith No More opened up for them for a while. And so Mike Patton filled a bottle of piss and poured it over his head on Axl's amplifiers during the show and stuff like that. Like, there was always a problem with the Axl world going on. But I am looking forward to see it, man. I got to say.
I've never seen GNR. I would love to see Guns N' Roses. I was watching this video of them, I guess one of their shows recently on YouTube and stuff. I can't believe how fat Axl got. Like, not to fat shame the guy, but he got really porky. And so, of course, I was making fun of all the songs, like Rocket Queen, and changed the name to Dairy Queen because this guy just doesn't stop eating this shit. And but I mean, I would love to see Slash live. Like, that would be, to me, the highlight of my life.
Do you know the Rocket Queen story?
No, but I love
the story behind that song. So it's a great song, right? The moaning in the song.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I do know this.
So so Steven Adler's girlfriend showed up at the studio. Steven was supposed to be there. He didn't show up. Axl wound up entertaining her and recorded the sound effects.
That in itself just tells you what a scumbag Axl Rose is. I mean, that's just dick.
Yeah, and I give you one more, then I'll shut up about the music thing. But the spaghetti incident, that? Remember the cover to that? You know what that's about?
Spaghetti incident cover was just a bowl of spaghetti, right? Like falling or something.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But the reason they had it called it that is they were, I think, on tour with Motley Crue, and they had made a bet who wouldn't shower the longest. So it was like Tommy, Nikki, and they would hook up with groupies. And the idea is whoever made the groupie sick first won the contest.
That's just fucking disgusting.
So a groupie had eaten a lot of spaghetti. So put 2 and 2 together, and that's how you get the spaghetti incident.
That's disgusting.
You always learn positive things here on the Lithuanian side of the podcast. Let's go Devils.
I do want to definitely talk about Devils and this capacity of not being able to hold on to any kind of third period lead. But before we dive into hockey and bitch and moan, I do want to get you guys' opinion on free agency so far in football. Like, this has been a big couple of weeks. The first wave of free agency. We have the draft coming up. Our teams all did some cool stuff.
Aaron Rodgers is going to be fronting the Vikings.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is here's the thing about I will start with that, the Aaron Rodgers going to Minnesota thing. all the national media, they're all terrible. They're all terrible. They're bad at their jobs. They don't know. Like, I understand how hard it is when you're like an Elliot Friedman or, a Tom Pelissero or, one of those guys. We focus on one hockey team. That's all we talk about. We talk about the Devil. They got to focus on all 32 teams. I understand they might not have, such a great pulse on the actual teams, like individual teams and stuff. But all I heard last year was, this time last year, Minnesota is, how could they let Kirk Cousins just walk out the door? How could they possibly? And then now they signed Sam Darnold. This guy's shit. He sucks. They're not going to win anything. And then halfway through last season, it was, they can't let Sam Darnold leave the building. They have to sign him. He's won 14 games for him, 4,000 yards, all this other shit. Absolutely have to keep the guy. And then he leaves. And now it's, you have to get Aaron Rodgers. Like, why can't we just run with the plan? JJ McCarthy is the plan. JJ McCarthy is going to be a good quarterback, if not a great quarterback in this league. I don't want Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he helps this team. And I was talking to somebody at work about it. It's like, how could you not take Aaron Rodgers? He's one of the greatest. I said, Aaron Rodgers hasn't won a Super Bowl in over 15 years. He's had great Green Bay Packer teams, 13, 14 wins, NFC championship games, falls on his face, won Super Bowl in his 20-something year career. Now at 41, he's going to help Minnesota? Like, I just don't understand it. He's 41 years old.
I do think Darnold, I will say I thought you guys should have kept him for another year. I mean, and not that I don't believe in what you have coming up, but you know how it goes, man. One snap, everything can change. You guys, I mean, obviously the Vikings, Jones, Mason, you guys had probably the best offseason, I think, of all the NFL. You guys got Ryan Kelly. You guys got, you guys just had a hell of an offseason.
Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, Will
Murphy,
Fries,
Byron Murphy,
Jordan Mason. I mean, it's awesome.
I just thought that the Darnold, I was kind of, I'll be honest, I wanted Darnold in Vegas. I told you that.
Too.
I did want him there. I think Gino's going to do okay. I mean, as a Raider fan, you just never know. I mean, I know we got Coons back. We got Chin Roberts. We made some moves. I'm just not sold yet, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be better than what it was last year. It has to be. But the Vikings are one. If you guys can get it, I think the Vikings had the best offseason. I think everywhere I saw they got like A or A plus. Just you got to stay healthy, obviously, at the QB position. So I thought you guys would have kept Sam, but I don't know how you felt about that. I don't know if we just, when he left and signed over with Seattle.
Yeah. The problem with signing Sam again was strictly Sam wanted more than nobody was going to get more than a year in Minnesota. Like, even if absolute, okay, whoever comes in the quarterback will only quarterback this year, and then we have to give it to JJ for year 3. The problem was Sam Darnold didn't want a 1-year contract. And I even heard people saying that was Rodgers' problem. He didn't want a 1-year deal in Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota even gave him an offer. But I think I think they wanted Sam back at their price, at their terms. Same thing they did with Cousins last year. We want you back, but it's got to be for this amount, and it's only for this amount of time. And they wanted more, and they wanted longer term, and they ended up leaving. Stick to the plan. You drafted this guy number 10 overall for a reason. Kevin O'Connell has done awesome jobs with whoever the hell was back there. So I think a full year of him sitting behind Darnold like he did, and now having a full offseason, he's healthy. The guy's a fucking leader, man. He is a winner. I want to see what he can do. Do I think that we're going to win 14 games with him? Probably not, but I think we can make the playoffs. And I think by the end of the year, he's going to be playing some fantastic football. So I'm okay with it.
What did Sam get? Do you know? I know he was asking for 40, I'd heard.
No, I think he was like only at like the 30, 31, 32 around there. I think it was like a 3-year deal at $100 million, I think 60 guaranteed. So right around there.
Man, what's he going to do for food?
Exactly. Poor guy.
No, geez. He's going to have to like downgrade from like 3 Ferraris to 2. Like, poor fucking guy.
How about your team over there? It's
the
funny
other
because
purple team.
Yeah,
they're. I mean, we are in a more advanced position, I think, than pretty much any other team. Like they've had the core of this team in place, and getting Stanley locked up, was probably their best move, and taking a gamble on Hopkins' upside, even though he's, they've done this a few times with receivers in their 30. I was actually looking at something this morning. about it. But they've done this with Beckham, Bryant, Crabtree, Steve Smith, Deshaun Jackson. They keep signing these 30 plus receivers, kind of banking on upside. Some of them work, some of them haven't really. But as a decent complement to the receiver core they already have, the line's good in place. I still think they have the best QB running back combo in the league. I'm trying to make excuses and say, hey, their secondary has some upside. Their defense is still pretty good. I think Kyle Hamilton's a fucking stud. But they definitely need to target a cornerback in the draft. I just don't think the cornerbacks are pretty deep in this year's draft. Maybe they're 27. Drafting late every year, eventually catches up to you. But they're still in this window. It's just unfortunately, they're going to continue to run into the Chiefs and the Bills and
the Raiders, because that's been a little kryptonite for you guys, which you deserve. Because let me tell you, I never hated the Ravens until Saragusa fell on Gannon and did that little cheap shot to get, that changed a lot for the Raiders. I've always hated the Ravens ever since then. The last 2 times we've played you, we've gotten, whatever you want to call it, we pulled them off.
Yeah, Saragusa died, so I guess he got what was
Yeah. I'm just never forget him just flopping on Gannon.
How dare you besmirch legend Tony Saragusa?
My buddy.
That's the problem being a Raider for all we have is like these memories of being trauma. It's like, the other day, it's like watching John Gruden highlights because, my wife's getting into the Raiders and she's like, he's really interesting. She's watching these highlights. And I'm like, yeah, but then of course the highlights are John Gruden beating the Raiders in the Super Bowl. I mean, you just can't make it up the shit that happens as a Raider fan.
My buddy Jude is watching. Hi, Jude. I just want to say hello. And hi, Mike. I didn't see you guys on. So I just saw he was on, so I wanted to say hello.
Oh, nice.
So,
we'll see. The Ravens' biggest issue last year was closing out games, and they got picked apart late in games. Like, probably the first 6-7 games. I think they kind of coughed up some leads. So, closing games out was their biggest issue. But they're a solid 12 to 15 win team. I think pretty.
Were you a big Flacco guy back in the day?
Of course. Well, the absolute legendary, like what an absolute run that guy had in like 4 playoff games, and then just was mediocre the rest of his career.
Absolutely, the Ravens are always solid, man. That's the damn thing with that team is they're always solid.
They have very good management, very good GMs. And they DeCosta's the GM now and kind of took over from Ozzie Newsome.
Right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just kind of roll over that. Once you find a philosophy that works, and you have good scouting and good front office and good ownership, the sky's the limit in the NFL. So as long as Lamar and Derrick Henry keep churning stuff out, I think there's a Super Bowl in this window. But again, they have to. The 2 best teams are still, I think, the Bills and the Chiefs, and just have to get through them.
The Bills. I mean, ever since, we all 3 of us know the Bills have just had the worst luck. I mean, we remember back in the day when they just couldn't. Jim Kelly, they just
they were great teams. Even this,
Scott Norwood.
Yeah, Scott Norwood. Right. I like this Bills team a lot, and I like this Baltimore team a lot. I just don't know, like you said, can they actually get over the hump finally? I don't know. They seem to always be a great regular season team, and then everything just kind of falls apart once they have to deal with Buffalo or Kansas City. I think it's those 3 teams. Again, it's Buffalo, it's Kansas City, it's Baltimore. I think that there are a couple of teams that might be sneaky this year. I think the Chargers are going to be very sneaky.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
and in the AFC, you got to watch out for them. I also think you got to watch out. I hate to say it, but watch out for the New England Patriots. If Drake May can put it together, they might end up second in that division. I mean,
Boston as a city, like with the run that they had, they deserve nothing for at least 20 years.
I agree. They deserve nothing ever again. I mean, it's time for Minnesota.
Ever.
It's time for
Red
Minnesota.
Sox, Patriots, Bruins.
Yeah. Fuck them all. Boo. All right. So I guess we should talk a little hockey.
Sure.
But before we do, there's a little shout out to our Hockey Podcast Network sponsors and DraftKings. This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge, and no one knows where it's going, but that means there's just time for your favorite team to figure things out and games left for you to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. And if you're new to DraftKings, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers. Get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, visit dkng.co/audio. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. NHL and NHL team markers are the property of the NHL and its teams. That's DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours. Yes, Mike, it is time to get depressing. All right, boys and girls, what the frick happened last night again? Third period lead. They choked. They blew it. And then they got fucking no possession in the 3-on-3, and they blow it in the shootout. I don't even know what to say anymore about this team. I'm just so curious what you guys think, and where do we go from here? Tony, please, you're ready to go.
Imagine staying up till 5 a.m. watching this shit. I mean, it's getting depressing. Like, I don't know. Last night, I keep on saying, "Oh, this is the worst loss this year. This is the worst loss this year." I don't know. This maybe they always feel. First of all, I don't know why Luke is shooting in the overtime. I was going to say that. I hate overtimes. First of all, I mean the shootout. Fucking hate shootouts. I don't know why he's getting the puck on that one. It was just, I don't know. I mean, we couldn't. When that goal went in at the end, it was like 38 seconds, 36 seconds.
It was under a minute.
So deflating. It was just like, but it wasn't surprising. I mean, I wasn't shocked. I will say Meyer is playing his ass off lately. Just depressing. I don't know. I mean, I've heard people say it, and I have to agree, and I hate saying it because you guys know I've been Devils fans since back in the day. We all are. I don't think our team's very good, man. I think we have some good players, but just don't think we're that great of a team. And I'm kind of worried about even if, what if we don't get into playoffs? There is a chance this happens. And what's going to happen to us when we get there? Because I don't see it goes back to the trade deadline. We talked about this a million times on the side on the show. Definitely didn't do enough. Just very depressing, to be honest with you, because I don't see. We keep on saying, "Oh, we're a young team," and I've heard other people say it too. These guys, 8 years for Bratt now? He's been on this team. Nico's been here they've been here for a long time. The excuse is going away of the young team. Just we have no luck either. Everything, if it's going to go against us, it's going to go against us. You can see the frustration.
Make your own luck, man.
Stick last night. I mean, yeah, it's a mess. I mean, I can't even say that we deserve to be somewhere because ever since Christmas, it's just been a downfall.
Yeah. Oh, my turn?
Yeah.
No. Do I have to? Okay. You know what's funny? They actually didn't play all that badly last night. Like overall, or looking at the game as a whole, but that's because, and I think everybody needs to do this, is just reset expectations. Like, this team is mediocre. We have the only teams that have lost, or the only teams that have won less games than the Devils since the Christmas break are Philly, San Jose, Boston, and Chicago. So we're basically, since the Christmas break, the 5th or 6th worst team in the league. And it's just, that's what it is, man. With 3 catastrophic injuries, Markstrom's injury as well, and he looked fine last night, probably that second one he wants back, but we played well within that expectation of mine that I have now. It's like, we're going to be grinding these games out. They're not going to be pretty. Like, we're not a fun team to watch right now. The Timo has been great. I loved my favorite goal of the night was Holla just kind of willing that one to go in to tie
I
it
was
up.
pumped.
But the three mistakes, like the three mistakes were made and three goals were in the back of our net. And it's just, we're kind of right back at this feeling of last season where two guys just left alone in the slot and a failed clear by Pesci, and that's their three goals. It's just unfortunate. We're still carrying around a lot of dead weight. But if you just reset your expectations, the ceiling is a lot lower, but the floor's a lot lower. I want this team to make the playoffs. I want to watch playoff hockey, but I'm not going to be a total doomer. Who's like, I don't want them to make the playoffs. I want them to blow it up. Like, that's ridiculous. Like,
They have to make the
I
playoffs.
think this team
Gotta
is
make the
fixable, but it
playoffs.
needs a lot. Yeah.
They have to.
I've seen a lot of people on Twitter being like, I don't even want them to make the playoffs. Like, that's ridiculous.
No, that's just
like,
stupid.
Fucking stop. Pardon
But
so
I'll say
look,
this.
But this new trend, one last thing. This new trend of now blowing third period leads, like just finding new ways to lose and finding new ways to kind of cough shit up. Like it's just frustrating. And watching this team, it's not fun. It's just a chore right now. But
is it shocking though to you guys when they blow these leads? Because now it's become, to me, I expect it almost. Until that clock is at 0, I'm like,
yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting at in terms of resetting my expectations. Like it took me a while to get there, and I saw a lot of other people were kind of, I don't want to say ahead of the curve because they're sort of doomers on this, but like this hasn't been a good team since the Christmas break, and now with all of our injuries, just need to kind of expect them to be a 500-ish team. Like that's really kind of what we are, and it sucks. And I still think we're going to make the playoffs. I still think we squeak in. It may be the wild card 2 spot, and they just need to kind of hit the reset button if they make the playoffs and just say, you know what, whatever just happened doesn't matter anymore. We're in the playoffs now. Like we need to take it from game 1 in the playoffs.
There's 9 or 10 games left, whatever it is. They have to have that mentality now of, I don't give a shit. Like, we just got to go out there and play our game. Like, there's a lot wrong with this team right now. And if by chance they fell out of the playoffs, I'm sorry, there's no way that you can keep Tom Fitzgerald managing this team if they miss the playoffs this year. He's got to go.
They will, though, I think.
I think you're probably right, Tone. But I don't like him. I don't think he's a good manager. I know there's a lot of hate on Sheldon Keefe right now. My hate is much more towards Tom Fitzgerald than it is towards Sheldon Keefe.
I don't think Keefe's the problem at all. He's been a very successful coach in this league. And in markets where it's not easy to be a coach. Like you have to start looking at the and I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but like playing Chalowski in overtime, is that like Keefe being like, hey, fuck you, Fitzgerald, pardon my French, but like this is the guy you gave me, so fine, I'm going to play him in overtime, and he's going to lose his guy, and we're going to give up the best chance.
I hope not. I hope that's not the case, but if there's already there's some friction between management and coaching staff, then something has to change. However, Tom Fitzgerald just, first of all, the overcorrecting every summer, right? So we're deficient in area A, and in the summer we are going to overcorrect the shit out of area A, whatever it is. Last summer it was defense, and it's just and then when you get guys in, instead of just letting them breathe, let's see how this goes. No, he's locking guys like Kovacevic up for 5 years at $20 million or whatever it is, with no trade clause, no movement clauses. There is no good reason that contract needed to be handed out when it was handed out, especially with the depth in the pipeline down in Utica. That was, in my opinion, just completely fucking stupid. So why they did that, I have no idea. The lack of addressing a problem when those needs arise and sitting on your hands until the last possible moment to make any kind of changes, it is just not a good way of running your team. I like my general managers to have balls. I like my general managers to run it as a fucking business, not as a goddamn day camp. And it seems like this is what's happening in New Jersey. There's no accountability, way too many hanger-ons that don't get called out for the shit that they do. They are allowed to just be passengers on this fucking train and not enough guys actually pushing the play and doing the right kind of work that needs to get done to win these games. I don't know where the leadership comes from. I don't know what's going on in that dressing room, but I absolutely put a lot, if not all, of the blame on Tom Fitzgerald's shoulders. That's just how I feel.
And Chris, you said something about just a second ago too about, like you said, not addressing the needs. And Tim said something a couple minutes ago about, which I agree, that, not to be a doomer, go into the playoffs and have hope. I would have hope if we would have addressed. I mean, I just don't see where we can compete in the playoffs. So I think Ottawa is going to have a hell of a run. I just don't see us. That's the problem, is I don't see how we have the players to compete, and that sucks,
Yeah, and something that came out of the whole Kovacevic Keefe thing, which is a little bit overblown, was Elliot Friedman mentioned this on 32 Thoughts, was kind of brought it back to Ruff and how there was a pretty serious country club vibe going on under Lindy Ruff, where he had very limited rules, and Fitz mentioned it, and this is one of the things that frustrates me about Fitz, is he talks a big game, but executionally he's terrible.
Right.
So one of the things he was talking about was what you permit is what you promote. So being such a permissive environment, and we're still wiping the stink of Lindy Ruff off of this team. Now that I kind of think back and kind of look at how things have progressed, we're still wiping the stench of that off his team. Guys, didn't work out in the summer. We've talked about how Mercer is built like a fucking mosquito.
Speaking of spaghetti incident.
Yeah, seriously.
I was just thinking about the spaghetti incident, actually.
You're right, though. I mean,
and it's this permissive environment, and these guys have taken a full season to adjust to Keefe, who's a grinder and harder on them. And I like that about Keefe. I was like, you guys are professional athletes. You should be able to show up night in and night out and do your job. But you know what? Like, maybe after last night, the guys probably went out in Hoboken. Hang on, I'm frozen. I'm going to refresh.
I mean,
he needs a voice changer. That's about it. Maybe he'll get a little more in the locker room. But yeah, did you guys do a show since the Kovacevic thing that happened?
No. So I think
that got overblown a little bit, because I think
agree.
That
I
if
think
anybody would have said that, except for Meyer right now, there's a couple guys, but I think 90% of that team, if they would have said the same thing he said, that would have been the same response. He just happened to be the unlucky one who happened to, get his name mentioned. Yeah, he caught the ball.
Yeah,
freaking out.
That's
I'm
exactly
like,
right. That's
like
right.
90% of the roster right now. Like, there might be a couple guys you can't say it about.
He's calling out Kovacevic by proxy. I mean, Kovacevic hasn't been great. He's been wildly inconsistent, and we just need Kovacevic to get Siegenthaler back so he can go back to being like unimportant at work.
Do we know, like, is Siegenthaler going to be ready for game 83? Because that does change. I don't think so either, because I mean, he hasn't even started skating yet. But that's the problem that I if he's coming back for game 83, I'd feel a little bit better about our defense. But like I said, there's just, and another thing about Tom Fitzgerald, and Mike DeCaro was actually writing about this, and we talk about it from time to time, but he's 100% correct. What does it say about you that Michael McLeod, Cal Foote, and now Nate Bastian might be involved in this whole sexual assault nonsense? Like, 3 of your dudes that you fucking signed when all this shit was out there. Like, how good are you at a character, finding guys of high character when you're fucking signing these guys who are borderline criminals on a lot of this shit? And now Bastian is in there. I don't know. I have a hard time with Fitz. I don't want him as a GM. I want my general manager to pull, hey, look, something's broken. Let's fix it, and let's fix it now.
Have they called out Bastian now? Or is it just, I know he was on the roster, but
Bastian was on another team, and there's another incident. I think it's the Mississippi.
Yeah, I heard that.
That McLeod was also on. No individual names came out about that, but it's just this pervasive hockey culture, particularly with Hockey Canada in juniors in Canada, where you plop these 16-year-old phenoms into these small Canadian towns, and
lock up your daughter.
They're treated like gods, and that's going to go to their heads, and sadly, I think there probably is a little bit of girls looking to kind of pick me and attach themselves to things, but it's just not to get too deep in the weeds, but I agree with you that you can't say no dickheads out of one side of your mouth and hire a bunch of guys that are problematic.
The last comment: no dickheads, only diddlers.
And Mike's right. They like Bastion and McLeod were drafted, but
yes.
the extensions provided when this was all going on was problematic.
Right when this was coming to a head, we signed Bastion for 2 years and McLeod to 1.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like he gave McLeod a 1-year deal, probably because he knew this shit was coming, which is fucked up. Like Carter Hart and the Flyers, they knew that was coming. And like who's the guy, Derek Formenton in Ottawa? Ottawa declined to sign him, so they knew all this was coming.
The old owners in Ottawa, after this dude was drafted, because it was I forget who the old owner was, and then he passed away and left it to, I believe, his two daughters, who sold it to who owns it now. So when the women found out that this guy was on that team and his name was being circulated as one of these jerk offs, they didn't even sign him. They wouldn't. Yeah. They didn't even. They had already drafted him, and they didn't sign him. They shipped his ass, I think, to Europe to go play. They didn't even want him in the organization. Okay, I can get behind that.
McLeod's playing over in Russia now, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he won some Player of the Game the other day, and it's like in the Russian translation, it was like what a gentleman of character or something like that.
Yeah, gentleman of character.
Fucking Russia. Anyway. Look, the ceiling is low. The floor is lower. We need to just reset our expectations. I still think they make the playoffs. They could surprise us on this road trip, but going into that Minnesota, Winnipeg, it's basically our Bermuda Triangle. Those two cities. So I'm not confident, but they played okay against Vancouver. They found a way to grind to get the second goal. They found a way to grind to get the third goal. They just gave them right back.
As Devil fans, you're still excited when it's going on. I mean, like last night when Hollis scored that goal, like you're pumped up. It's just so deflating,
Yes. Yeah, and I loved the emotion that they showed after that. I saw a highlight of when Bratt broke Steven's record. Like that guy, is like a little, hockey robot. Like show some emotion, man. Like I loved how excited Holla was, and they got into a little scrum afterwards. Like show some emotion, show some energy. Like show that you care. Like fans feel that. Mrs. Fields lost her race last night too.
Someone made a comment. I don't know who it was that they believe, and I agree. They said, Jesper Bratt is such an underrated player in a lot of ways. I forget, it was one of the analysis guys. It was he wrote something about it. I think some of you guys may have heard it. I don't know, but I just heard it yesterday, and it made me think. I was like, if we get him, don't know though, man. There's just so much question marks on this team. I'm trying to look at the bright spots. It's just when I look at them, it's just hard to really see where we can make a win around in the playoffs, because that's what I'm thinking now. Because what is there, 12 games left or 11?
I'm going to tell you right now. Hang on 1 second.
We got Chicago coming up, and no game is a guaranteed win either anymore. Like
as Chris figures that out. So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 games left.
Another positive thing that came out. So yes, there are 20 points on the table. So. And the way the East is shaping up, with the Islanders keep pissing down their leg and the Rangers keep pissing down their leg. Columbus is all but dead. So we're like almost going to get in by default. It's almost like the Eastern race last year where nobody wanted the final wild cards.
All right. Well, I wanted to just go over the rest of the schedule. And wins and losses, and you guys in the comments, let us know. So we're going to go Tim, Tony, me. We'll start with the next game, which is at Chicago. Just a winner or loss, and if you want to throw overtime caveats in, you can. But we're going to just do a strict Rigby. Please come and lay down. Come on. Relax. Wants to go out. All right.
Who we start with? We start with Tim or
start with Tim, Tony, me. Okay. At Chicago, Tim.
They're going to win. They have to.
Tone.
gonna put it exactly like Tim just said. They have to. It's
I'm gonna
still I'm not
say-
sold 100%, but I mean,
I think that this is a game that they're gonna come out of their slump. They're gonna win this one by multiple goals. All right, at Winnipeg, Tim.
That's a loss.
again, possibly, yeah.
I had said in my predictions that one of these is all right. So, Mike, you got a Hawks win, a Jets win, a Wild loss, and a Wild loss. Okay. So I have Winnipeg as an overtime winner. So I'm going to stay with that. I had done that on a prediction. And then our last road game is up in Minnesota against the Wild. Good call, Jude. CM Punk. I like it. At Minnesota, Tim.
We're gonna win.
Tom.
I'm gonna say we're gonna lose. I hate to say this.
I'm going to go with a win. And then it's a home and
hope
home.
I'm
So then
wrong.
we're back home. These are all at home. And
I think we win the one at home. Yeah.
Now, Mike Ruff, are you saying Cena's going to destroy wrestling in a good way or a bad way? I'm just curious. All right, home and home, back home at the Rock, Tim, against the Wild.
I think they're gonna win. I think they're gonna do this thing again where they go 3-1 over 4 games. We think they're turning a corner, and then they're gonna fucking lose 3 again.
So you have them winning in Minnesota and at home against Minnesota.
I haven't beaten Minnesota twice. Minnesota, I think is holding on for dear life. Also, like they're still without Kaprizov. I don't think they've got it.
Yeah, I mean, Tim's got 3 out of 4 right now. What do you got for this Wild game?
I got a win at home and a loss on the road with Minnesota. So
you're 2-2 in their next 4.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the win. And right now, I have them winning 4 in a row.
We know that's not going to happen.
Right. Well, and then we are
Help
home
yourself,
against.
you?
Then we're home against the Rangers.
That one we win. I think. I'm just gonna. If anything we take away from this season is that we put the final nail in the Rangers' coffin. We have to.
I'm going to go with win against the Rangers too, because if you can't win that game, then
I got them at 5 in a row. Wait, it gets better. If you look at this schedule,
Chris also got Jack Hughes coming back as a surprise return before or in the playoffs.
That's only if we make it to the Cup final. All right, Boston.
We're gonna win that game too.
Sorry.
All right, you're at 4 in a row right now, Tim.
I got win for the Boston game.
I do too. Pittsburgh, they completely kicked our asses. I got to let my dog out. Be right back.
All right.
I'm gonna say loss on this one. I hate to say it, but
Oh God, I was with you on that. Now that I'm at 5 in a row, fuck it, I might as well go 6 in a row.
I mean, I hope you guys are right.
Like,
I would love to be wrong.
What are we talking about?
You guys picked the Raiders to
row. What am I
win
doing?
10-2.
What am I doing?
All right, so you guys,
we're fans. It's hard to root against.
It's hard to root against them. Yes, we're going to
Yeah.
beat Boston. We're going to redeem ourselves for that last game in Pittsburgh too.
All right, Pittsburgh is a win. What do you
I got
got,
Pittsburgh
Tom?
as a loss.
Boo.
I mean, right now I have them at 6 in a row. Is it going to be 7 in a row?
Chris has a parade already planned around in Newark.
I mean, guys, you look at the teams other than the 2 the 2 Minnesota games and the Winnipeg game, Devils are clearly better than every other opponent that we face.
I think we're a lot better than Minnesota.
Been like
too.
that this year.
Like
I think,
Minnesota's
too, but-
Minnesota.
Right.
Minnesota's only where they are because of their early season, but so are we. We're like I just said earlier, like we're the 5th worst team in the league since the Christmas break.
All right, now we deal with the last 3 games, the up-and-coming, probably fighting for absolute playoff lives in the New York Islanders. Timmy, what do you got?
I think we lose to the Islanders. That gets them in and bounces the Rangers, which I'm kind of okay with.
I think we beat
Now-
the Islanders.
All right. So
Where am I at now?
you are right now with 8 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3. 5
Pretty
wins,
realistic.
3
Could be
losses.
realistic.
Tim is 6-2. I'm 7-0 right now, and I haven't even put the Islander game in. I guess I got to give them a loss somewhere, but it ain't going to be here. They're going to beat the Islanders.
So how many do you have them winning in a row here?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row starting tomorrow night. And then we
Get
go
your
home.
DraftKings ready, man, because
then we're home
against
against Boston. Tim?
We're going to beat Boston again.
Okay. All right. So Tim's got us, playing really well too. So do you, Tone. What do you got against Boston?
I'm going to go with it's in Jersey. I'm going to go with a win because you have to. It's a double-ended sword. You have to win these games, and if you can't win them, then that just says a lot. I mean, these are games just like everything's desperation now. You got to win these damn games.
I
should be able to beat
9
Boston.
in a row.
If they do, then like holy shit, like we're they're they're like we said, there's 20 points left. They probably need 10, like to 91 to make the playoffs. So that's 5 wins. So they can find these 5 wins somewhere. But you and I, we basically have them going like 10-1 over the last month.
Well, now I'm going to give them a loss for our final game against Detroit because I think things are wrapped up. Detroit will be out of it. I'm going to give them the loss. What do you got, Tim?
I'll give them a loss too.
And Tone?
Loss. Yeah.
All right.
5 and 5 on that, or
so you have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 4. So Tony, you're saying that they're going to end up with what did you have? 12 92 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tim, you got them. We have 80 right now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2,
82.
90,
81, sorry,
82, 81. So you have them. So Tony's got them at 93. You got them at, I think that's 95 then. Let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. You said we had what? 83 or 81?
We have 81. So 95.
95.
I have it like 7 and 3, right?
Yes, you have them at 7 and 3. And then I have them at 9 and 1. That's another 18 points that I have. So I have them at what's that? 99 points.
Could you imagine how excited we'd be if they won 9 of these 10? And then you'd have, no matter whether it's ridiculous or not, you'd have some damn hope going to those playoffs. Say, shit, if we can do this.
I have a question for you, though, thinking about
7 and 3 for Mike. I like that, Mike.
I can't reach. I've tried several times.
Would you rather us fall into the wild card 2 and play Washington in the first round, or stay where we are and play Carolina?
Carolina.
Carolina.
Are you sure about that? I don't know.
Well, I mean, no, I'm not sure. We played both teams pretty good. I think we split 2 and 2 with each of them. That was earlier in the year. Only because I feel like Carolina, we're kind of due. We can go and we need to go and beat them. Like we need to, to beat the President's Trophy if Washington gets it and maybe, beating them after they had this great year and knocking them out in the first round, that would be awesome. But wild card 2, the problem with that is you don't have home ice at all. And that's an issue. At least third in the Metro, you have a shot. So if you beat Carolina, and then let's say that the wild cards, well, who's going to get the wild cards? Are we going with Ottawa and the Islanders right now?
I still think it's going to be Ottawa on Montreal. I still think it's going to be 5 Atlantic, 3 Metros.
All right. So if that's it, let's just use that. Then Montreal would probably be playing Washington. Ottawa would probably be playing the winner of the Atlantic, which right now is what, Toronto or Florida?
Yeah, one of those two. Yeah,
one of those, right? Which I would love. The mouth breather cup in the first round between
that would be much watched.
Yeah. So now the Habs go. Let's say the Habs win and they can beat Washington. Let's say Ottawa beats fucking Florida. Let's say Tampa beats Toronto and we beat Carolina. That would put us at the number 2 seed in the East for the second round. And I like that. I like having the home ice in the second round. I mean, it's just the way things fall. I mean, hell, we can end up being the 4th seed going into the second round if things don't work out that way. But it gives you no shot at home ice if you're second wild card. So that's the only reason why.
You have to stop giving me hope.
Oh, I mean, I'm just looking at it. So, I mean, look, I think we're going to be. If they go the opposite direction and they lose to Chicago, they lose to Boston, to Pittsburgh, Boston twice actually, and Detroit, and all these games that are winnable. If they go and shit the bed and lose these games, then it doesn't matter. You get into the playoffs, whether it's third seed in the Metro, second wild card, first wild card, doesn't matter. You're getting bounced wherever you end up. This last 10 games, they've got to try and figure it out, and they're doing it against opponents that I think they can figure it out. And that's what we need to get into the playoffs. Now, even if we go 7-3 in the next 10, that's huge. That's 14 more points. That's locking up third in the Metro. That's feeling really good about yourself going into the playoffs.
The reason
can't go 5-5. You got to go better than that. Got to be better than 500 these last 10 games.
The reason why I think playing Washington may be better for us in the first round. I have no delusions that I don't think we're going to get out of the first round. Maybe we will. But I think Washington is I just don't trust them, man. I know they've been kicking the shit out of everybody, but they haven't had any adversity this year.
Nope.
And if you look at their roster, their goalies aren't really playoff proven. Their number one center, Strome isn't really a big playoff prover. Ovechkin's really the only kind of proven playoff guy that they have. Ocean's not around anymore. Backstrom's not around anymore. Chikrin was on Ottawa. They'd never made the playoffs while he was there. PLD.
I'll throw Tom Wilson in there.
Tom Wilson, yeah. PLD was on LA and Winnipeg, both who've had bounced in the first round. Guys,
And
everyone else is young.
Protas,
McMichael, they're all rookies, never played in the playoffs before. Carlson too. Yeah, Carlson's
problem with Washington though, Tim, is that with Ovechkin, he does have the devil's number. It always seems that's a problem with Washington that I think.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm obviously they're a very good team. And that's why where they are. I just think put them in a playoff scenario. I think they are primed to shit the bed.
I can see. I think Ottawa's the most. That team's dangerous. I think out of
Yeah, I agree. I think in Montreal's top line, I think their depth is a little shaky, but that Montreal top line is so dangerous. That Suzuki, Caulfield, Slafkovsky line.
Slafkovsky's turning into a fucking dog.
Yeah. Remember when they got drafted? All
right. So Ovi needs 7.
7.
All right, and he has 1. Let me see how many games they have left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games left for 7 goals. Does Ovi do it?
I don't think so. I mean, that's like a 65 goal pace. That's pretty crazy. But honestly, he's crazy. So who knows? And they could just be. And they've been doing this. I watch a lot of Caps games, because of where I live, and they just overserve him, try to feed him the puck. They overpass it. It's actually pretty wild that they're doing as well as they are with the amount of chances that they pass up to try and give it to Ovi. But I don't think he finishes it off this year. I think he's gonna have 2 or 3 left to go at the beginning of the year, which is going to be a little anticlimactic for this chase. But whatever. I don't think he does it.
Colin?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Tim on that. Didn't he just announce too that next year's his last year in the NHL, right? Then he's going to go retire, and they're going to put a statue of him, and he won't be the only Russian statue probably in Washington, but they're going to put a statue of him up in there.
They're changing the Lincoln Memorial out to Putin with Donald Trump sitting on his lap with a diaper on.
The only thing that's having a rougher time than Devil fans right now is a Tesla dealership. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, could he do it? Yes. I will say this, in credit to him, the other night, he could have had an empty netter, didn't take it.
Yeah, he gave it off to.
You got to respect that.
I think he ends up one short, and I think he ends up one short, and he probably breaks the record in game 1 of next year, night. And then has to play another 81 games for nothing. And he probably will be pissed off and checked out and doesn't want to do it anymore.
Question, Chris. So if he does get his goals, do you think he comes back next year?
No, I don't. If he gets it, I think with the season that they've had, regardless how the playoffs go, I know they're thinking cup, but I don't see them coming out of the East. with the season that they had, if he ends up breaking that record, I think he does just. What's he coming back for? He's got his cup. He's got every record that means anything. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. His statue's going right in between Trump and Putin's on Mount Rushmore, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go hang out with Mike McLeod.
Yes, and go hang out with Mike and pick up chicks at the bar and roofie them. It's fun times. So, all right. So, I mean, Chicago is a big one tomorrow. This is a team that clearly the Devils should dominate from start to finish. They have 3 road games left all year. Then they're home. No more of this cookie garbage. Everything's, this is it. 10 games left. I think they can go on the run. I really do. I mean, last night hurt.
You got to win in 9 games out of the last 10. Hell yeah, you think they can go on a run?
I do. I mean, don't get me wrong that I would not be shocked if Winnipeg trounces us again. I have them winning in overtime, and I would not be shocked at all if we split with the Wild. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Rangers fight us really good and maybe come out with a win. But other than that, I think we're safely going to win these other games.
And Mike brought up a good topic, just to change the subject a little bit, is back to the fire Fitz thing. What we need to have happen aside from Fitz, we need to purge his entire thought leadership team if we're going to do something. If they collapse, we need to be able to get rid of everyone associated with Fitzgerald, because we need someone to come in that can look at things with a clean sheet, that doesn't have any emotional attachment to Palat, to Holla, to Dougie, to the contracts we probably need to get rid of. We need someone who's not going to re-sign Tatar, who's not going to re-sign Bastian, who's not going to re-sign Lazar for vibes, who's going to let the kids come up and develop. We just can't. We can't have that same guy. The problem is who would be that outside person, and I don't know a lot about like the GMs that are out there would potentially be available. Like, is Don Sweeney going to get fired from Boston? Is Mike brought up Mike Gillis? I have no fucking idea who that is, Mike, to be perfectly honest.
You don't know who Mike Gillis is?
No.
Me neither.
But I think what Chris said earlier, and I said, I think that he's going to get the pass this year, because obviously you have the injury.
I think so
This
too.
is what's going to be the pillows for the fallback.
Yeah, he's got his
I think
excuses.
I think it's going to be that. I think that's kind of, you saw that in the trade deadline, I think, in a way too.
Of course,
who knows
Mike
now
wants
how
Mike
high
Gillis.
up it goes.
That's a problem, because and I think what may happen is Fitz takes the state, because he's the president and general manager right now, is he takes the standalone title of president and lets like Dan McKinnon or Kate Madigan take over as the general manager. And I think because the Devils are a progressive, vibesy organization, they might let it be Kate Madigan, which I don't totally object to. It's just I think we're still going to have some of this dead weight around that we need to get rid of. And now I just looked up who Mike Gillis is, and of course Mike Ruff wants Mike Gillis because he's a fucking Vancouver. He's the old Vancouver guy.
Ah, okay.
Yes, he is. The one guy I was wrong about that they bought back, I didn't think he was going to make a major difference this year, but I have to admit, Tatar I liked him when he was here. Then when he was left, I was like, oh man, he was a good tool. And obviously this year he's not the same. That's the one guy I was kind of guilty of. I was glad that he was back.
I thought he played well last night.
We were texting about that on the side. Like Tatar, Mercer, Palat was probably our best line. They didn't give up a single shot against and a single high danger chance, and their expected goals for percentage was 100%. That's pretty hard to do throughout the course of a hockey game in like a little under 8 minutes of ice time together. So,
yeah, I do think if that puck doesn't go in at 30-something seconds last night, I think we're having a little different attitude right now.
Of course. When we used to be gods in overtime 2 years ago. Tatar, I don't think we'll be back. Like, he was kind of a last ditch, like, oh shit, we need another guy. Maybe we can rekindle the magic type of player. But I think he's past the peak. He's also been a pretty notorious playoff ghost. But I did like the way that line played. I would like to see Mercer shoot a little bit more. For whatever reason, this motherfucker, pardon my French, Nickel for the swear jar. Sorry, Chris.
Ding ding.
Well, whatever. You're up to like $1.50 on this episode.
I think I have
No,
nothing
it
so
wasn't
far,
too bad
actually.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't bad today.
The spaghetti incident might get me some points, but I don't know. You know.
Look, I mean, we're gonna have so much to talk about of how to build this team up after this year. There right now, though, there are 10 games left. This team is still in a playoff spot, and I can't help but wrap my head around, like, there are certain dudes that I just need more from. All right. I don't know if with Luke, maybe you guys, we can maybe finish up with this with Luke. Is he still have training wheels on, or does he not have the confidence to? I watched Quinn last night and I'm like, that can be Luke. Why? I maybe he's not there physically, mentally yet. I mean, Quinn's been in the league now for 8-9 years. But to me, I would be running most of my offense out of Luke when he's on the ice. And I don't know why they don't. Is that just me? Am I seeing things wrong, or what do you guys think?
I mean, Quinn, Luke's 21. Like Quinn's, like you said, he's 7 years in the league now.
Right.
Quinn didn't become what he is like he was last night until last year.
You're right.
He had pretty significant defensive deficiencies. He wasn't the game manager and game controller that he was basically until last year. So it's coming for Luke. It's going to take a while to develop. But what I've liked about Luke's game, obviously, the exponential growth of his defensive game. But Luke really was kind of like half good games, half bad games last year. Mm-hmm. And now that kind of paradigm has shifted maybe to more like 75, 25, 80, 20, where 80% of his games are good, 20% are bad. Last night, he had a pretty rough game. He was -2. He was on for 2 goals. Weren't necessarily his fault. The one at the end, I think, I'd throw on Pesci for not clearing that out. But I think what Brett has done for Luke as a partner to help him grow, I think has really kind of helped his growth.
So this is just a young player thing. This isn't them putting training wheels on him.
It's a young defenseman thing. Young forwards. So you
don't think the team knows
you can hide forward mistakes easier than you can hide defensive mistakes, especially one with high end tool set like Luke. You want the puck on Luke's stick, but he's going to fuck up and he's going to cough the puck up like that. That's going to happen. It happens with everyone. The league leaders in turnovers every year are Kucherov, Pastrnak, Jack Hughes.
Right.
Quinn Hughes is actually up there sometimes. Chikrin's even up there. Guys who have the puck a lot on their stick are going to cough the puck up a lot. It just so happens. But the brain fart plays from Luke have largely been eliminated from his game. He falls still every now and then. So what? It happens.
I just really want to see him take that next step.
Yeah. First thing I do if I'm the Devils is I implement no more Christmases off. Next season, stay in practice the whole fucking time, because that's when everything changes, man.
You're right.
It's unbelievable. What was the year before? It was the outdoor games. Mm-hmm. Everything shit the bed after that game against Philly. This year, Christmas break, it's done.
You're going to the Hughes household for Hanukkah, and you're gonna fucking like it.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So tomorrow night, 7:30 in Chicago. First of our last 3 road games. What do you guys think? Final score?
5-0 Devils.
All right. And Markstrom or Allen?
Allen. I think they rotate the 2 of them. I wouldn't be surprised if Markstrom gets the nod again. What did you guys think of him? I thought he was fine. Like, he didn't look as shaky as he was.
I think he should be thrown in tomorrow night against Chicago. It's a lesser team. You want to get him back and get his confidence back, get his game back. I thought he played so much better last night than he did the previous game. So I was fine with his play. I don't blame him for the loss last night at all.
And remember his shootouts, his overtimes. It's not always the best.
He was not happy about that last.
He's pretty rough on shootouts. Like he gets beaten pretty easily on shootouts.
Well, after the next 10 games, he doesn't have to worry about it. So, what do you think? 5-0 Devils. What do you got, Tone?
4-2 Devils. I did pick them to win, right on that little chart you have.
You did.
Okay, making sure I'm not sounding like I'm stoned over here.
No, you're good. I'm going to go with 4-2 Devils. I think it'll be a little bit of a closer game. They'll get it won't be an empty netter. They'll have the 2-goal lead into the third, and they'll hold on to it and control play, and just Chicago will lose by 2. That's what I'm going with. So hopefully they'll start feeling better as they move into Winnipeg. Anything else you guys want to discuss tonight? And I think we're going to be back on Thursday at some point, and we'll discuss the Chicago game and look forward to the other games moving forward. So
I got 2 things I want to mention really fast. Talk about Chicago. Pat Maroon, 36, retires after this year. Left the Devils, is obviously the best move he made. Won 3 Stanley Cups. He won with St. Louis, Tampa, guys, Boston, Chicago, Minnesota. 14 seasons. I got to say, man, I was bummed when he left Jersey. I was pissed when he left there, but you got to give the guy credit, man. And George Foreman, 76.
Yeah, George Foreman died.
Muhammad Ali,
Oh God.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know if you saw that Hulk Hogan's making up some bullshit how he was supposed to.
He's lied about that for a long time now. It was supposed to be the Hulk Hogan grill.
Go join the NWO again.
No,
What the hell it was.
You dumb dick. It's always fucking been George.
Does he annoy you guys? Hulk Hogan. I was always a Savage guy when I was a kid. I always hated Hulk Hogan.
Same.
But now even more, I just can't stand him. But is he besides being a cuck, isn't he a total the guy just sucks?
He does suck. And look, he came out the first Monday Night Raw that was on Netflix. They brought him out. He was promoting this Patriot beer or some bullshit that he was sponsoring with WWE. It's some nonsense beer that he was selling. So this is Hulk Hogan, okay? The man that defined professional wrestling in the 1980s, who had a stranglehold over both WCW and WWF/WWE for 20 plus years. This is a guy that could not do wrong at all. We would not have any of the awesome guys that we have nowadays if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan. So a guy who is beloved or should be beloved in the wrestling community came out to do his fucking little promo on Monday Night Raw in California. I think they were in San Jose. And they booed him out of the fucking building from the minute he walked out to the minute he left, to the point that the wrestling crowds are the best. Because if they don't like you and you have what's called there's heat, right? Every bad guy wants heat. You go out there, you shit talk the town, you shit talk the good guy, you get booed. That's heat. That's normal wrestling heat. Then there's things like bad heat, right? Where they just genuinely really don't like you. And you could always tell the difference. This was genuine heat. They did not want him in that fucking building. This dude, because you go out there, you're campaigning with Donald Trump, you're all MAGA,
sleeping with your buddy's wife. Getting caught on camera.
Yeah, and Jude's right. They can't spell worth of shit, but he's right.
Who was the best villain in wrestling? Who do you guys think is the best? Yeah, ever.
Oh man, well, heel Macho Man was always one of my favorites. I got
Roddy
into wrestling.
Piper was awesome when he was.
Yeah, he was probably the best. But I would say it was always with me. It was Savage, and that build up at the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 3, where he came off the rope and hit Steamboat in the neck with the bell, and the whole thing was that he couldn't fucking talk, and that was led to a great Intercontinental Championship match. But Piper and heel Macho Man. And
I'll throw Bobby the Brain in there, even though he was a total douche, but I loved him.
Yeah, Mike's right. Cena might end up being the best heel. I'm with you. And all right. So anything else, boys? All right. Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. Guys on the YouTube channel, subscription, 5-star review wherever you're listening to us, positive comment, subscription and download helps a little podcast that could. For Tony and Tim, I'm Chris. We are the Uncle Puckers. Hang on a second. And I could set our fucking outro video here. And we'll see you when we see you.
Peace.
Suck a dick, Valakat.
It's over, Johnny. It's over!